everyone, Krista Moser here, and guess what today is? I get to show you my latest pattern. This is fresh fruit. So what you see here, this cheerful, very summery quilt with the fruit blocks. I've been working on this for a very long time, so I'm really thrilled to finally be able to show you. We're a little early for next season, but I'm looking forward to doing a sew-along or a quilt along with this one as well. So what we have are watermelon and strawberries, there's limes and oranges, we've got lemons, and there are grapes here and here. Every block is made twice, so it's somewhat of a sampler or like a block of the month. There are 6 different blocks, and you make each one twice. And then there are background fill-in blocks, what you see here, plus your white background area. So I thought I'd show you how to make one of the blocks, the citrus block. I'll use some orange to make an orange block, and then I'll show you how to do the background blocks as well. So this whole pattern is designed around the large ruler. So this is the 60-degree diamond ruler by Creative Grids. The large size, that's mainly to make the background blocks. You can do all of the fruit, just the fruit, with the mini ruler. So if that's something you have, then you could absolutely use it for just the fruit blocks. If you want to do the full-size quilt with the background blocks, then you would use the large. So that's the one I'm going to demonstrate with. And here I have 3 different oranges. So I actually curated a bundle of fabric, or a jelly roll bundle of fabric with Kona cotton solids. Something I've never done before, where I actually curated my own collection of Kona cottons, and each one of these strips, you get 2 of each color, and each one is used in this quilt. So I kind of gathered my fruit colors and put my special touch in there as far as what I wanted for different fruit. So I'll kind of go through those here in a minute, but what I've got in there are 3 different oranges, so that's what we have here. So I've got a dark, a medium, and a light. So from your medium one, this is a 2.5-inch strip from that jelly roll, I'm going to cut some triangles. So 2.5-inch triangles here. I'm just using the nose of the ruler, just the small tip. This is why I say you can use the mini ruler for this, because it will get you these same sizes. But I'm just cutting 2.5-inch triangles here. And then I'm going to turn the ruler to get the next one. Now I'm cutting through 2 layers, so I actually have 4 here. And I only need 3 for each orange. Now I'm going to turn my blocks around, stack them up, and I'm just going to use the flat nose of the ruler to trim the tips off. This is something I've been doing more and more of. It makes a big difference. It really is worth the extra little effort to do this, because your pieces just line up so well, and you don't have frustration when piecing odd size shapes together. Okay, now we've got the dark one here. Now I had trimmed one of my jelly roll strips down to 1.5 inches, so that's what I have for the dark one and the lightest one. So what I'm going to do is cut some trapezoids. So here for the darkest one, I'm going to line it up with the 4.5-inch line. So these are still working on the triangle side of the ruler where the lines march up towards the tip. These are the dashed lines going across. So I've lined it up on the 4.5 and the little starburr lines on the other side. Trim on both sides here. Turn the ruler, and now the 4.5-inch line comes down from the top. And one more cut, just enough. And I'm going to do like what I did before. I'm going to put these pieces right on top of each other and trim the little tips off these outside edges here. So here, there's that. And one more. Okay. This is just for one orange block. All right, my lightest shade. Now this one, it is also trapezoids, but now I'm lining it up on the 3.5-inch. So we started with a 2.5-inch triangle, we'll move to a 3.5-inch trapezoid, and then put the 4.5-inch trapezoid on it to make our little orange slices. Okay, and turn it around. These are the same cuts that are used for the lime block and the lemon block. They're all very similar to each other. Okay. Now, of these cuts that I just showed could have been done with the mini ruler as well. Okay, so here's the way that it's constructed. It's very simple. What you've got, your triangles here, trapezoids, and trapezoids. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew these two together right here with the seam. Now something that I made notes of in the pattern, here's the pattern you see here, it's a booklet form because this is sort of a bigger pattern, a block of the month style sampler. And so one of the things that I have gone to showing in my patterns a lot more is where the bias and straight of grain edges will fit together best. So you will see under the illustration here on step 9 where I've got this as a straight of grain and so is this. And so putting those two together, you won't have to deal with bias edges and stretching away from straight of grain edges if you put these two together like this. So you're going to sew your seam, and because I went and clipped off all those tips, when I go to sew this, I'll turn this piece over and you have this perfect matchup. You see? No dog ears to measure or work with. You've got these perfect matched flat ends so that you don't have to do any guesswork. Makes for really easy piecing. So you're going to sew these two together. That combination, once sewn, will be something like this. And then you add the bigger one. And there again, the same thing. We've got flat tips out here, so our trapezoid is going to fit on that just perfectly once it's sewn. And that's going to make for really, really flat blocks. So I actually sewed some of those already, and let me show you how they look once they're sewn. So here you have, you're making 3 of each, just like this. So I've got my seams all pressed open. That seems to really help with bulk and making everything lay really flat. So I've done that quite a bit now. So if I want my orange slice to be going, this way, now here's my background. You can kind of put it in. So you're building these blocks half and half, like this. So half here and half here. This makes it so you don't have to do Y seams. So when we're going to assemble this whole thing coming together here, if you keep them split like this, no Y seams, so you don't have to contend with those either. Now I can change the direction of this block and just swivel it with doing the same exact pieces to this point. But now I've just turned the direction. So let me show you the rest of the blocks. Here's the way the orange block is going to be, or the citrus block. Now, if you've got that one done, here is the lemon. See how it's going the other direction? That's all I did, was just turn the direction of those pieces. Same pieces, same cuts and everything. They just get sewn in a slightly different arrangement. So here's the lemons. Here we have the limes. Here we have watermelon. Isn't that cute? Then we have the strawberry blocks. And last but not least, we have the grapes, which are my favorite. I just love the grapes. So all of these blocks together, you can see how cute those look together. Aren't they fun? They all come from these different colors. So what I'll show you here, the lemon uses the 3 colors of yellow. I already showed you the orange, which is these 3 colors of orange. And now we have 3 colors of red, 3 different reds. That makes up the strawberry. And then here we've got some watermelon-y colors with the green added to it. So there's actually 4 different greens because your lime block uses 3 different greens, and then the watermelon and some of the leaves for the other blocks use the darkest green. Then we've got the grapes that use the 3 different shades of purple. I've got some blue because you need some blue sky when you're having a picnic. And then we've got the 3 greens for the lime block. So there's 2 strips of each one of those in these jelly rolls, and I've got a bunch of them, so you are welcome to them. I'll put a link to these in the description. If you want to make this pattern and use the jelly roll that I curated from Kona Solids, I will provide that. And then last but not least, so this pattern, it actually has 2 layouts. So the layout you see behind me is the full-size one, or the wall hanging this is the lap size one, and then the wall hanging one is just the fruit blocks. It doesn't actually have the background blocks. So here you see it, where it's just the fruit. So in this case, I used a blue as my sashing instead of white like the one behind me, and then just did 2 of each of the fruit blocks so it can make a little kitchen wall hanging or something like that. So a fun second layout. Now, if you wanted to do this one, you could do it with the mini ruler. So you wouldn't need the large ruler for this one. So why don't I show you one more thing, and that is the background block. So you've got this jelly roll, you've made all your fruit blocks. It doesn't use the entire jelly roll for these fruit blocks. You have some extra, and you don't want to waste them. So here is what I thought could be done with those extras, and that is those background blocks. No waste, right? So you've got some extra strips because you have 2 of each. So you sew them together. In this case, I did 2 of my purples together. They're all 2.5-inch strips. And this is how we create these extra sort of fill-in blocks, which are really kind of fun. So here I sewed 2 of my purples together. Now I'm going to take the large ruler and I'm going to line up my 8.5-inch triangle line. So this is the dash line coming across the middle here. And then there's a white dash line here across the top, which would be considered like a 4-inch line. So I'm just going right in between those 2 on either side of my strip set. And now I'm going to cut and cut and take the little tips off here on the outside. Now I'll turn the ruler and do the exact same thing from the other side. Now the 8.5-inch line goes across the top. And I am just going to trim and trim. And I'll continue to do that. I'll get a few more blocks, but this is how they come together. You see how cute that is? Just little striped hexagons. So that's what we do to create these blocks here. And use up the last of your jelly roll. So makes for a pretty great use of all the fabric in the roll itself. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link to the jelly roll, the pattern, which is called Fresh Fruit Sampler, in a booklet form. And it comes with both patterns that I showed you, both layouts, the large one and the small one, all the fruit blocks. And then also, if you want your background and your binding, I used like a red and white check, kind of a gingham check, like a picnic blanket binding. So we've got that as sort of a secondary add-on to the kit. I'll put a link to that as well. So if you want to do the whole thing, the whole layout with the white background and the binding, be sure to look for that. And the pattern will be sold separately, so you can kind of decide which way you want to go. I hope you thought this was fun. I'm very happy with this quilt, and I'm really excited to share it. And like I said, we're going to do this as a quilt along sometime after the first of the year. So if you would like to join in on that, get on the email list at KristaMoser.com. Just subscribe, and you will get the information for that quilt along when we announce it. Thanks for watching.